What's up guys, JTails here with another video, and because we hit the sub goal on my Twitch live stream, I actually did have the goal to be new emotes, which we are still gonna do, but some people were requesting that I make a tier list video if we reach the sub goal. So that's the reason I'm making this video. I made an early tier list a little bit before, so it might be fun to see how my thoughts have changed after about a month of gameplay and the meta developed. So let's get right into it. You'll notice first thing that I don't have a low tier section in this tier list. Why is that? That's because I honestly believe that there are no bad characters in this game. I don't think that there's... So let me clarify. There are characters that are less strong, but I don't think any character is bad. I don't think that there's any certain one character that if you're playing them, you just can't win. I really don't believe that's the case with this game. Do I think that there are some characters that are not solo viable? Yes, I actually think over 50% of the cast is not solo viable. What does that mean? It means that if you're maining one character, you're probably going to need a second or third character in order to cover bad matchups. Just because the spread of matchups in this game is so wide. It has nothing to do with the characters themselves, it's just that there are so many different tools and playstyles and archetypes to deal with that I don't think there are many characters in the game that can actually be solo viable without having to switch off of them. But if you'll notice, I have an S-class tier. These are the characters that I think are solo viable, and these are the characters that I think are just a slight margin above the rest. So please don't consider mid-tier to be low tier, because that is not the case. Usually tier lists will have top tier, high tier, mid-tier, low tier, and then bottom tier. So we are excluding two tiers. Anyway, let's get right into it. So who do I think is like top 3 in the game? Well, my first pick for basically top 3 characters that are extremely strong, that I think are solo viable, is going to have to be Peach and Daisy. I think Peach and Daisy are one of the best characters in the game. I think they're top 3. They have insane damage output with their combos, a great recovery, they have a float to avoid disadvantage, they have a counter to kind of like stuff opponents out. We see Samsora winning every single one of his events that he enters, aside from Let's Make Moves, in which he got, I believe he got 9th. And, you know, this character is really insane. If she reads your ledge options, that's a forward air. She can cover the ledge with turnips and down air. She can just hover and down air, so you can't grab the ledge. Down air combos into forward air, you're dead. She just has a plethora of tools and options that a lot of characters in the game don't have. If she touches you with down tilt at any point, you're taking 40 to 60%. If she grabs you, you're taking a lot of damage. If she nairs you, like off of any one of her hits, she's gonna convert it into big damage. So that's my reasoning for Peach. She does not, you know, she suffers in the range department, so like swords and characters with really big disjoints can zone her out, but she has the tools to kind of get in there and get the damage that she needs. So I think she's my pick for top 3. Next, guys, Pichu. Actually, I think Pichu's solo viable. His combos are insane. I know he hurts himself, but one touch from Pichu and you could be a goner. If not, you're also taking 60% damage. Do you kind of see what these characters have in common? If they touch you once with many different moves, you're gonna get 60 damage or you're gonna die. And that's something that these characters have in common. Low profile really helps and makes Pichu harder to hit. And you know, he has a down air spike, he has a really great recovery, one of the best recoveries in the game. Granted, it has no hitbox, I understand that. And, Pichu has a frame 5 forward tilt that's not only safe on block, but it kills at like upper mid percent. It can kill at like 70, 80, and it's frame 5. That's just actually insane. He can literally throw it out when people are on the ledge. It hits below the ledge, so it can 2-frame, and if you hang on the ledge for too long, you can just still get killed. by that move. So I think Pichu's one of my other choices for top 3. And third, a lot of people may not agree with this, but I'm going to have to go with Young Link. I think this character is insane, and people still haven't even fully tapped his potential. He can convert off of almost any move that he hits for huge damage. He has a lot of great kill moves. I know one of his biggest weaknesses is that he has trouble killing, but he's so nimble and mobile that it's hard to hit him, and a lot of his pressure is completely safe, and there's not like much that you can do about his pressure. You kind of just have to beat him in neutral and mess with his recovery, which is, you know, it's a good recovery. It's not bad. It's not the best in the game, but that's my choice for top 3. And the last character that I'm going to actually put in the S-Class category is going to be Fox. And guys, keep in mind that these are ordered, right? So I think Fox is definitely solo viable. He, once again, converts insane damage off of Nair. He gets kill confirms off of Nair, off of down air. Up tilt converts into big damage. Up air combos into itself for 40, even 60% damage. Dash attack links into 2 up tilts, which just puts your opponent in a really bad position. He's great at ledge trapping as well. You can't really get off from the ledge against him. And I think that, you know, he has kill confirms. He kills early. Granted, he doesn't have a grab that kills, so you can kind of hold shield, which is, yeah, one of his weaknesses. His recovery is linear, I understand. But Firefox actually has a big disjoint on it, and if you don't challenge it perfectly, it will kill you. Also, Firefox will kill you. So yeah, even though that he's different from his other incarnations, I think that Fox is extremely strong. We've seen great showings from Light, from Larry Lurr, and a few other Fox players really dominating the scene. And it's, you know, kind of been proven that Fox already is solo viable and just a really outstanding character overall. So as of right now, that's it for S-Class for me. I think that these characters are solo viable. I'm sure there are a few other characters that are also definitely solo viable, but I don't want to put too many eggs in one basket. So we can move on to the top tier section, and for this section, I'm going to start off with Olimar. I think Olimar is insanely good. I think that he controls the ground so well. Wherever Olimar is, we have to put Alf as well. I think Olimar's just really strong. He controls the ground. He combos off of up smash. He kills insanely early with purple up smash Pikmin. His throws kill if you get a blue Pikmin. He's just a really, really strong character. He suffers off stage. His recovery is not, you know, it's not the greatest recovery, but he can make it work. And I think for that reason, he's not necessarily solo viable. I think that he can get rushed down and he can suffer off stage. So it might be worth it to have other characters as a counter pick. However, I do think that he's insanely strong and he's borderline S-Class in my opinion. He might even be, but for right now I'm going to have to put him in the top tier. And he's not an easy character to just pick up and play, right? So you might be playing Olimar and you might not feel like he's that good, but in the right hands, I promise you, this is an insanely good character. Alright, let's move forward, shall we? Next, I'm going to have to go with Inkling. And notice how I didn't put Inkling in the S-Class range. A lot of people have been regarding Inkling as best character in the game. This character is insane, ridiculous, like super good. But I actually don't think that Inkling is as strong as people have been presuming. I think that while they're really, really strong, I don't put them in the top 5 in my opinion. This is an ordered tier list. I just don't think that Roller is as good as people make it out to be. I think that their recovery is quite exploitable if you position well and you kind of understand their timing. I think their strongest trait is actually the Splat Bomb and inking the ground. I think those are the things that make them a strong character. Obviously having up throw into up air as a kill confirm is very strong as well. But aside from those things, I don't really feel or kind of see why people are saying they're number 1. I kind of think that was maybe like week 1, week 2 shenanigans. People were not respecting Roller or punishing it. I saw so many Inklings like Roller people's shields and then they get away scot-free. if any Inkling ever hits your shield with Roller, that is a guaranteed punish, right? So I think the character is a little bit overrated, but I still think they're very good. As you can see, I put them at number 6 on my list. Next, another character that I think is greatly overrated, and guys, I do think that Inkling and this new character are going to drop down after a few months. I think they're going to drop down into high tier. I think they're top tier for right now, but I think once people learn how to exploit their recoveries and kind of deal with their tools, I think they're going to drop down a little bit lower. So Chrom, I think that Chrom is very, very insane on stage. His frame data is ridiculous. You can't jump out of shield against him. It's hard to punish anything he does, especially if the Chrom player is just using safe aerials. But I think that his offstage, and I know people's arguments, well, Cloud's offstage game wasn't that good, but remember, Cloud also had Limit to help his offstage game, and he had other ways to recover that kind of prevented people from gimping him. I think that Chrom doesn't have access to the same tools that Cloud did in Smash 4, and I think that once people really learn how to just spike his recovery or just kind of knock him off during his up B, he's gonna drop down a little bit more. He's still a great character, but I think that his weakness is, right, you kind of see my S-Class, none of these characters really have like too big of a glaring weakness the way that Chrom does, and I think he's gonna drop down just a little bit lower after this point. So, but still very, very strong on stage, ridiculous character, and I think he's super good. So next up, I'm gonna have to go with Palutena. I also think that in some ways she's being overrated, but she does have very good tools right now in the early meta. Explosive Flame is catching people off guard, they're not really respecting the range and not paying attention to the little spark that comes out as she throws it out. But I think that Palutena is still a strong character, and I'm putting her in the top 10 for right now. I also think that as people continue and practice, they're going to learn the matchup and she's going to be dealt with a little bit more easily. She's still a very, very strong character, don't get me wrong, but she has a lot of tools for every situation. She has a counter, she has a teleport recovery, which is exploitable if you kind of like attack the space that she's going to appear in. You can guarantee punish that every time, and she has great projectiles and a lot of disjoints. Her dash attack and back air are invincible. So those two tools alone really kind of put her in this spot. But I think that if she didn't have those things, she would be down in mid tier. But right now I'm going to put her in top tier because I think she's really strong in the meta. And until, you know, people kind of develop counterplay to her, I think that she's going to remain there. Alright guys, now we're probably going to be moving on to a controversial pick actually. I think that Shulk is insane in this game. I think that he's top tier, I think that he's top 10, and he has tools for every situation. He has insane combos that lead into kills. He can go off stage with Smash Monado and up B. If he's in Smash Monado and he forward smashes you at 55, you're dead. Shield Monado can protect him at high percents. He can recover almost from anywhere because of jump. Insane rushdown and damage output because of Buster. Sorry, Monado arts. I don't mean to offend anybody, because I know that that's a big talking point. But I think that Shulk is in the top 10. He just has a lot of tools, kill confirms, and range. And I just think he's a very, very strong character. He's not easy to play or easy to master. I do think that Fox is a lot easier to play if we want to talk about ease. Inkling to an extent, I think Pichu and Young Link, but I think that Peach, Olimar, even Palutena and Chrom to an extent are more difficult to play, along with Shulk. So you can't really pick up these characters and just start seeing results, but they're very, very strong as their meta is fleshed out. Okay, so I have just a few more characters in the top tier category, and I think that some people might be surprised as to some of these picks, but I think that Wario is top tier in this game. His recovery is really solid. The biggest thing about Wario, guys, he has combos, but the real big thing about Wario is he has great mobility in the air. He has decent weight to him, so he's not going to die early. But the huge impact is Waft. He has combos into Waft that kill at 30%, right? Or if you're at 0, he can combo you into 30% and combo into Waft and you're dead, right? So Wario's comeback potential, if Wario has the lead, you're already in trouble, right? But if Wario is losing, he can take your first stock, waft your second stock at 30%, and now all of a sudden you're losing, right? And then even if you end up turning things around and beating him in neutral, he gets waft every 2 minutes, a full waft, and every 1 minute he gets a half waft that'll kill at around 60, maybe even earlier, potentially. So I just think that this character's ability to clutch and turn things around is insane and probably second to none in this game. So for that reason, I'm putting Wario in top tier. We see Tweak doing a lot of work with this character as well, and I just think he's really, really strong. Next, I'm gonna have to go with Snake. I think that Snake, aside from the matchup inexperience that a lot of Smash 4 players have right now, even the Brawl veterans are losing to Snake at an alarming rate. He's just, even if you know the matchup like inside and out, like a lot of Brawl veterans do, with his new tools, especially Nikita, sometimes you're just not in a position to attack it and avoid the, because if you hit it for 60 frames, it can't interact with anything. But if you're in a bad position, you can't really do that, right? So in some cases, it's just not worth it. And honestly, I think that Snake is just really, really strong. He kills very early with up tilt. His disadvantage state is not the greatest. Even if he covers himself with grenades, if you grab him or you kind of space around the nades, he takes a lot of damage being in the air. But he's so heavy that it kind of doesn't matter in some cases. And I think that Snake is just really solid overall, especially if you kind of know how to play him. His dash attack's really good for punishing landings. His arms and his head are intangible during dash attack, and he has a guaranteed kill throw at 160 and up. So I think these tools are just insane, and I think that Snake is definitely worthy of the top tier category. Alright guys, we are narrowing this down. I'm next gonna have to go with Lucina first, and then Marth specifically. So I think that obviously these two guys are really strong. They have great kills with just spacing and tipper moves. Well, Marth has the tipper, Lucina doesn't, which makes her a little bit better. And I think that they're just really strong overall at controlling space and choosing, gauging their distances. And they have shield break mechanics, they have counters, they have a solid recovery that's really hard to kind of contest in many ways. So I think that Lucina being better than Marth is important because in this game everyone's always moving and jumping, and it's really hard to space tipper with Marth. But so Lucina is going to be more reliable for getting kills, but for the most part I think that they're roughly in the same position. Lucina is just probably slightly a little bit better. And, you know, I just think that they're super solid, and they always have been, and for that reason I'm putting them here on the tier list. Running up tilt are really good for anti-airs and kind of not letting your opponent touch the ground. So that's where I kind of place them as well. Alright guys, get ready for another controversial one. My last pick for top tier at the moment is actually Mii Sword Fighter. I think that this character is a little bit underrated. They have confirms off of a projectile that shield pokes and that covers short hop height, so you either have to block it, reflect it, or jump over. I'm talking about Gale Wind, right? So if you get hit by Gale Wind, you're dead at maybe 60 and up, maybe even earlier depending on positioning. I think that they have decent range. It's not the best range in the game. Their big weakness is their speed and them getting rushed down, right? If you have characters that kind of invalidate Gale Wind and that can get around it and kind of get into their face very quickly, they're kind of reminiscent of Richter and Simon or Olimar. When you're rushing Mii Sword Fighter down, he doesn't have that many options to contest. But I just think that it's insane that he can fight up close. He has combos out of down tilt. He has kill confirms off of Gale Wind, and you know, his recovery is decent. It's not the greatest, but I think that Mii Sword Fighter is underrated, and a lot of people aren't really looking into the Miis right now. And I think that this character could have potential to do a lot of work in tournament. I think that people just need to actually put some more time into them and kind of see where to go from there. But Mii Sword Fighter is actually insane, and people just need to kind of like put the time in, I think. So that's it right now for top tier. Think of it what you will. This is probably like top 15 in the game right now, in my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. But I'm going to continue on with high tier now. And a majority of characters in the game are going to fall into the high tier category. I think that this is going to be the widest category in the game. And I think it's going to actually encompass a majority of all the characters in the game. Meaning that everyone is viable, or a majority of characters are more than viable, right? So starting off high tier, I'm actually going to go ahead and put Cloud in here. Right, I think that Cloud on stage is just a monster. Limit only being 15 seconds, yeah, it does hurt him. It can hurt his recovery, but I still think that him being able to kill people at, you know, 80 with limit cross slash or blade beam off stage is really, really strong. His ledge trapping is insane. His pressure is safe, and I think that he is just really, really solid. His recovery is a little bit worse than it was in Smash 4. Which honestly is an important and I think helpful change to him. So even though he's slightly nerfed, his qualities are still just as good, and I think he's a very strong character. Next in high tier, I'm gonna have to go with Pikachu. I think that Pikachu's combo ability is ridiculous, and obviously his quick attack does have a hitbox and he can combo off of it. He does have kill confirms off of up throw RAR Thunder and DI mix-ups off of down throw Thunder. Off stage, he's also a beast, just like Pichu. He's just missing that frame 5, you know, tilt that kills, and he's a little bit weaker than Pichu in terms of knockback, and I think that's really the distinction between the two. But his combo game is insane, off-stage game is insane. Use Thunder Jolts to approach with during neutral. And his neutral, you know, he kind of wins it with Thunder Jolts and Quick Attack, aside from just like really good positioning and sharking with up airs. So I think that Pikachu is definitely high on the list for high tier. My next character who's high on the list in high tier is actually going to be Ness. I think that Ness is, this is probably his best incarnation. I think that, you know, out of Melee, 64, Brawl, Smash 4, I think that this is Ness's best game. Yo-Yo at the ledge is insane. PK Thunder harassment off stage racks up so much damage. Obviously having a kill throw is nice. Granted, his recovery is actually one of the worst in the game, but he kind of mitigates that by using air dodge. So in some ways it's, you know, kind of superseded, but you can still get 2-framed if you decide to air dodge that way. However, it still kind of makes up for his weakness a little bit, and he's really good at punishing people off stage now, better than he ever was. And on stage, his neutral is one of the best in the game, I think, and he's just really good at racking up damage very quickly. PK Fire into down throw fair, that's already like 30 to 50% depending on how much you string it, and how much you pummel, right? So it's a lot of damage just like getting hit by one PK Fire, or getting down thrown into fair, and now you're getting harassed by PK Thunder, and his flowchart's kind of like really intuitive, I think. So he has a good comeback potential with PK Thunder 2, and I think that he's just really solid all around. Alright guys, next up on my list is going to be Roy, actually. I think that Roy does have a lot of the tools that Chrom and Marth and Lucina have, but his confirms are a little bit more situational, right? You can land like weak hit of up air into forward smash, right? But with Chrom, you can kind of just do it without worrying about weak hit or strong hit. And even though his recovery is better, I think that his on stage is just a smidge weaker than Chrom's and Marth and Lucina's, because your like sour spot and sweet spot has to be super on point to know what combos, even though his pressure is still really, really good. and his frame data is very similar to Chrom's, and his recovery is better, right? You would think that he's better than Chrom, but I think that those few small differences do make the world of difference here with Roy, and for that reason I'm putting him one tier below where Chrom is. So yeah. Okay, so a lot of people might not agree with this actually, but I'm gonna go ahead and put Mario here. Mario still has insane combos in this game, you guys. I fought two Marios in tournament and I actually got 30% to death off of a down tilt or off of a down throw. I got killed. And he also just has 0 to 60, 0 to 80% combos still. Like, off of a grab, he can up throw into full hop down air into forward air, big damage, or just another up air. And then once you're at mid percent, he grabs you again, you're taking a lot of damage with up tilt, up air, up air, up air, up air, up B. Like, he just has insane damage output. And granted, I know his you know, he doesn't have that many disjoints, but his attacks are even safer than they were in Smash 4, meaning that your spacing has to be more perfect, and Fireball is more effective now as an approach because it's hard to parry rather than just power shield and hit him. Now you have to space around Fireball, and he gets to control the pace of the game with them. So I think that Mario is actually very underrated right now, and not many people are talking about him, but he's still very, very strong. And I think we're gonna see a resurgence of Mario at a big event, and I think that we'll be seeing that soon. So that's my logic for putting Mario in high tier. So guys, I actually don't want to drag this video out, so I'm gonna try and be more quick with my explanations and just kind of like get it moving, because I don't want to keep you guys here for too long. But yeah, so I'm just gonna get right to it. Pokemon Trainer. I think that having a mix of all three Pokemon is really strong. I think Ivysaur is the best Pokemon out of them all, followed by Squirtle and Charizard, so I'm actually not gonna place these guys on the tier list. But I think that Pokemon Trainer is a very solid character, especially if you have mastery of all three, which I know a lot of people are just only comfortable with one or two right now, but as the meta develops, I think they're going to actually go up on the tier list, and people are going to feel more comfortable playing all three of them. Greninja. I think Greninja's speed, jump height, combo game, kill potential, just everything that this character has. He can counter off stage now, and it actually works and will kill people. Very underrated character, kind of hard to find success with if you're not used to him, but I think that Greninja is just really, really strong. That's why I'm kind of putting him on here so early, and I think that it does take a lot of time and practice to get really good with him, but I think he's very, very strong. Ike. I think Ike in this game, with Neutraler being safe, a combo starter, and a kill confirm, is just ridiculous. His Nair is just so good. You can't really contest it. You can't really punish him for it. It leads into a lot of damage. It leads into kills. His recovery is a lot better in this game, partially because of the air dodge. They just kind of made it better overall. You can't really contest side B, and I think that Ike is just a contender for a really, really great character in this game. Would recommend. Luigi. Big damage off of grabs, big damage off of Nair. He has kill confirms. His recovery is probably one of the worst in the game, bordering Chrom, Little Mac, Incineroar, but I think even in spite of this, his on-stage game is so strong. His neutral is a little weak, but once he gets a hold of you, you're going to take 60%, and then once he gets a hold of you again, you're actually going to probably die after that point. So I think Luigi is also in the high tier bracket in my opinion. Next, I'm going to have to go with Mewtwo. I think that Mewtwo Shadow Ball is a really, really good projectile. You're going to have to air dodge it off stage. His tail is really, really good. Down tilt, forward air. He has a lot of great tools just to kill, deal damage, and apply pressure. I do think that he's a little bit worse than his Smash 4 incarnation, but I still think that he can control space very, very well, and I think that he's a very strong character. Next, I'm going to have to go with Rob. I think that Rob is actually one of the most improved characters since Brawl. Gyro's a lot better. Nair is a lot safer, so you can do Nair into down tilt, Nair into grab. His forward air string into each other. Obviously, he has a down throw that buries you. He can snipe people off stage, and if they air dodge, well, now he can go down there and try to punish them. And his recovery is pretty solid. Worst things about Rob is his disadvantage state, trying to touch the ground, and oh, and he has a guaranteed kill combo at low percent using side B. If you can actually use the top and kind of combo with it into side B, it's really, really strong and it kills early. So Rob is a very, very good character. Next, I'm going to have to go with the Pits, actually. And I think arrows are really strong here because you have to air dodge them, they kill, and it puts you in a bad position if you do end up air dodging the arrows. So a Pit with good aim is going to be really strong. And then secondly, his onstage game is really good. He has a lot of combos. Down throw, even combos at like 80%, it'll lead into nair or up air. At lower percents, down throw can lead into down air, fair, down throw, up smash. He has a lot of ways to build up damage and a strong neutral, good movement, and really good range as well. I think that Pit is a very, very solid contender for high tier. I think that Sonic is also very, very strong, and I think that Sonic at this point is not played as much as he should be, personally. I personally think. I think that people are expecting the win button for side B, and kind of like, well, if I can't use spin dash to win, well, this character sucks. But no, you have to use his movement, you have to actually have a brain now in order to win with this character, and even though he's more thoughtful to play as, I think he has really great tools and really good mix-ups. His speed kind of really pulls through for him, and for that reason I'm putting him in high tier. I also think that Donkey Kong is very strong out of the heavies, and I think that him having guaranteed damage off of cargo throw, his back air, always a great spacing tool. I think he's weak because he's a big body and he kind of has trouble landing, but he can do B reverse down B to kind of like cover himself. And his recovery is a little bit exploitable. You can kind of just try to spike him depending on his positioning, but I think he's still very, very solid. Next, Meta Knight. I think that Meta Knight's very strong. He has a lot of guaranteed damage, a lot of kill combos and kill potential, and for that reason I'm putting him here. His recovery is great. He's great off stage. Really, really solid character all around. Mega Man. Mega Man now has really big damage with Metal Blade in hand. He can actually combo you with 4 different repetitions. Pellet, 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 Z-drop, Metal Blade, pellet, 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 Z-drop, Metal Blade, pellet, 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 up tilt, you're dead. Right? He controls the neutral really well with pellets and projectiles, and I think that he's just really, really strong overall to control space. Actually, there's a character, I'm going to have to kind of backtrack here. There's a character I think that should be a little bit higher. I'm actually going to put Wolf right here, right before Ike. I think that Wolf is the second best spacey out of Fox, Wolf, and Falco. I think that he is really strong. He has a great combo game. He has good disjoints. His recovery kind of suffers a little bit. He has if not the best projectile in the game next to Ivysaur's Razor Leaf, and I think that, you know, Reflector is also helpful. He should probably actually be a little bit higher, maybe kind of closer to where Mario and Roy are. So now is kind of like the time where I'm going to be thinking about how to reorder some of these guys. I'm going to have to go with Robins. I think that Robin is really strong. Arc Fire controls a lot of space at the ledge. It leads into kill confirms. Levin's sword being so fast and just like you can't really air dodge in this game is super strong. I think that Robin in the right hands is going to deal a lot of damage and do a lot of work in tournament. And I think that Robin is a very slept on character right now because not many people have the experience needed to kind of make Robin shine, but I think that Robin is very, very good, and I think that we'll continue to see Robin do a lot of work. I think at this point it might be a little bit easier for me to start filling out the mid-tier section just so that we can kind of be clear and kind of help me organize my thoughts a little bit. So first in the mid-tier section, I'm actually going to go ahead and put Bayonetta. I still think she's really, really strong. I mean, we see some of the Bayonettas still doing work in tournament with her, but obviously they have to put in a lot more work. Witch Time having more range is insane. And it's really good against projectile characters because once they throw that projectile, even if she's half the stage away, she can just Witch Time and you're in a lot of trouble. You're probably dead actually, so I think that that's a big improvement to her, but some of the other qualities kind of hinder her. Up B out of shield still really good. She's still really good at dealing damage, and her smash attacks are better. Just like she can still really destroy people off stage. And once again, guys, mid tier doesn't mean bad. Mid tier just means you might have to work a little bit harder than, let's say, Pichu or Fox for your damage and your decision making. Sheik. I think that Sheik kind of, you know, while Sheik is not a bad character, I think that Sheik kind of got the shaft here in that she lost a lot of her 50-50 kill confirms, and even though if you have a solid neutral and punish game, Sheik is still going to be really good and a force to be reckoned with. She's great at rush down. I think she does well against me, Sword Fighter, and a few of the other characters, but I think she still struggles to get KOs, and unless people come up with other kill confirms, she's gonna continue to struggle to get KOs. However, also she's kind of light, and that kind of like doesn't work to her favor. So that's why I'm putting her down in the mid-tier section. I'm gonna go ahead and just do this now. I think that Duck Hunt is actually really good. I think that Frisbee confirming into itself like 3 or 4 times into like a back air is super strong. Can is still a great tool, especially when you cannot air dodge. And just controlling all this space and being able to air dodge out of his recovery are kind of like really good quality of life improvements. And I think that people are soon going to see how good Duck Hunt is. But I think as of right now, we still need to wait for people to develop this character's metagame. Alright, Little Mac. I think that Little Mac is just absolutely insane on stage. Off stage, he still kind of suffers from the same issues. If you kind of like wait for him to counter, he's dead, right? If you kind of like go off stage, expect to counter, he counters, now you hit him, he's just dead. That's it. There's nothing he could do, right? But if, you know, the Little Mac does get the 50-50 and like counters your move, he's making it back on stage, depending on the situation. And on stage, he's just ridiculous. He's probably one of the like top 5 on stage characters, right? So, you know, I don't think that like Luigi, I just think that his weaknesses are too great. He can't really contest in the air too much. So I think his weaknesses are just too great to put him high tier, but you can still take sets and take games with this character. So please, you know, don't think that I'm putting him down, because I'm not. Next in this section, I will have to put Kirby in this area, and it's not, I don't think Kirby's bad actually. I actually fought a few Kirbys online that gave me the hands. His low profile when he ducks is really good. It can avoid most grabs in the game. Dashing up tilts as an anti-air is super good. He has one of the strongest up smashes in the game. It's stronger than Fox's. Grab kill confirms. The only thing that he really suffers with is air mobility. He's kind of just really slow in the air and has trouble fending people off when they're kind of like poking him in the air. After that, also kind of like towards the top of mid tier, I'm gonna have to go ahead and place Ryu and Ken. Ken above, it's hard to call, man. Because I think Ryu has better kill confirms off of tilts, but Ken has the speed to like break zone. So I think they're kind of even, and I think they're both like counter pick characters. You wouldn't want to like solo main Ryu and Ken, but you would want to like counter pick Ryu or Ken to try and take a game in a set. And I think that it's still doable. Their recovery is probably more exploitable in this game, and their disadvantage state, but I think that they still have strong tools to control the ground and control neutral and stuff like that, and I still think that they're really good. Next, I'm gonna have to go ahead and place Yoshi up here. And Yoshi's buttons are really good. A lot of them are very safe. And I think that, having save buttons, having a great recovery and armor on your jump, kill confirms and great damage, I think Yoshi is a very, very solid character. I might actually go as far as to put him a little bit higher, like above where Sonic is right now. So yeah, I think that Yoshi's just a really, really strong character, and I think that he's definitely high tier, for sure. Next, in the mid-tier category, I'm going to go ahead and place Ganondorf. And while Ganondorf's recovery is still kind of exploitable, his range, his frame data is improved. He just deals so much damage, and can kill you at like 80% if you mess up even once. So he's still a big threat. We saw Verminubis place 9th at Don't Park on the Grass with all Ganondorf. So I think that there's some merit in placing him higher in mid-tier, and I don't think he's solo viable, but I do think that once again he could be a counter pick character, and you can take games from players that aren't well versed in the matchup or might have trouble spacing. Also, along the same vein, I think that Incineroar kind of falls in a similar category. Kind of very slow on the ground, has trouble getting in and closing the gap, but once he's in, boy, you better get ready. He can revenge projectiles and kind of diffuse that situation. His recovery, again, is very, very exploitable, just like Little Max, just like Ganondorf's. And for that reason, he's a lot lower, but I still think, he can kill people at 0%. I still think this character is very good, but I don't think you should only be playing Incineroar. And I think you should pair him with some of, another character for troublesome matchups. So a lot of these characters that I'm placing in mid-tier, I explicitly don't think that they're solo viable. Whereas a lot of the characters in top tier, I think could be solo viable. S-Class, I think they are solo viable. And in high tier, I think it's possible that these characters also could be solo viable, but you're probably better off pairing them with another high tier, or maybe even another mid tier or another top tier. Whereas mid tier, I think you kind of just need another character in your pool in order to deal with troublesome matchups. So that's kind of like the logic when it comes to that. And that being said, while I don't think this character is bad, I think that Diddy Kong will also definitely need to be paired with another character in order to help him out on troublesome matchups. And while I think that Diddy Kong is still very, very good, he's definitely toned down, less kill power, less range, recovery is a lot worse, and they kind of just really gutted the things that made him great in Smash 4. So I'm putting him in mid-tier for that reason, and yeah. Now I'm going to go ahead and place the Corrins. I actually think that Corrin is very underrated. I think that people are sleeping on this character. And I know Cosmos is now picking Corrin back up, but for a long time he was ignoring Corrin. A lot of old Corrin mains, once again, everyone who used to main a character, Diddy, Sonic, Corrin, everyone who used to main a character is straight like going towards this character is bad now, and that's not true. The characters are just different, but they're not just bad now, they're just different. You have to play them differently. So I don't think that Corrin's bad in the slightest. I still think they're very, very strong and they have a lot of potential. You just have to figure out their new kind of game plan. Same thing with Sonic, same thing with Diddy, same thing with Sheik. I don't think any of these characters are bad per se. So that's what I have to say about that. I'm also going to have to put Toon Link in the mid tier. I think that he has very niche matchups to counterpick and to zone out and stuff like that. And there are some characters that just can't really deal with him, but other characters can just rush him down, kind of like punish his landings. His recovery is still very linear and exploitable. And even though he's solid, I do think that you need to pair him with another character. I don't think he's solo viable 100%. But I still think he's very, very good. I think this is the best Toon Link that we've had. Better than Brawl, better than Smash 4. I'm also going to go ahead and place the Belmonts. I think that the Belmonts are also good. That's why I'm putting them in high tier. I do think that they kind of need to be paired with another character for bad matchups, but I think that for the most part, they're very, they're solo viable enough to kind of like make waves in tournaments. So definitely if you're playing the Belmont, I think that you're okay, and I think that they require a lot of thought and dedication to be really good with, but I'm gonna go ahead and put them in high tier. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and put Game & Watch, even though I feel like he's gotten a lot of improvements due to his bucket being a reflector now, and Key being better off stage due to people not really being able to air dodge as frequently. I think that his neutral kind of suffers, but he has a lot more combo tools using the breakfast, neutral B. He can combo off of it, he can ledge trap with it. His down smash grounds people, he still has throw combos. Obviously the Judgment 9 hammer is always a thing to be aware of. But as for solo viability, I think that Game & Watch would need to be paired with someone else, but he's still a very, very strong character, and I think that he's still solid. So I don't think any of the characters, even whoever I have at the bottom of mid tier, are bad. So that's just what I'm gonna go with from there. And that being said, let's go ahead and continue to flesh out mid tier, and I'm gonna go ahead and put Bowser Jr. in towards the lower end of mid tier. I still think they're really good. It kind of stinks that when people shield Mecha Koopa, it kind of just falls over, but I still think that they have really good disjoints with forward air, back air. Recovery might be a little bit exploitable, but I think that's okay. And they have really good combos and good spacing tools, so for that I'm still going to put them towards the bottom end of mid tier. Captain Falcon, while he's actually an insane threat and has combos into knee, his recovery is still kind of like very exploitable, and I think that once people start catching on to his drift back, they're going to be able to punish him a little bit better. But I do think that he has a hard time against disjoint and kind of just closing the gap more in this game than he did in Smash 4. So for that point, for that reason, I'm going to put him in the mid-tier category, but close to the top, because I think he's like still really solid. So I actually think that Pac-Man's high tier, and we saw Sinji. I think Sinji got 9th at Let's Make Moves. He might have gotten 13th, but Pac-Man in the right hands is deadly, and I think that this is, he's better than he was in Smash 4 than in this game. So for that reason, I'm going to put him in the high tier category, and I think that he's just really solid overall. I'm going to go ahead and place Link, and I'm going to place him behind Ryu and Ken. I haven't had a chance to watch T play, so I'm probably very wrong about this placement, but I am gonna, once I have time, try and watch T play and try to see why he should be higher. But I know people are gonna yell at me about this, but as of right now, I haven't really experienced or seen Link do anything that makes me feel like he's a really strong character. Like, he's just solid overall, but I don't really feel a reason to put him in, top tier, right? Or even like the first row of high tier. A lot of these characters have very distinguishable traits, and as of right now, I just kind of don't feel like Link really has that. But once again, maybe I just haven't been seeing enough of really good Link play for me to make that judgment call. So based on my experience, I'm gonna have to put him kind of like in the middle of mid tier right now. I think slightly above Link, I'm gonna have to go with Dark Samus first, and then Samus thereafter. Dark Samus just has like slightly better things than Samus does. She's just objectively better, so there's no real reason to use normal Samus as far as I'm concerned. Oh, and then Richter is better than Simon due to the fire properties on his holy water. But for the most part, I think that they now have kill grabs and fair kills. Obviously, smash attacks kill, and air dodges being a little bit worse kind of give them a little bump. If not, I would kind of put them bottom 3, but as of right now, I don't think they're actually that bad, so I'm gonna actually put them a little bit higher. I think that Zelda's gonna be in the low range of high tier. I think that some matchups she really excels at. I think she does really well against Snake and against Mii Swordfighter. I think that she has a very niche place in the meta. I think that there's some characters that she kind of like, I don't want to say invalidates, but kind of counterpicks. And I think for that reason she's strong. She has a really strong neutral tool. The Dark Knight kind of wins neutral for her, and then you can kind of go in and follow up off of that. She's good against zoners because she has a reflector and she can punish them with teleport. Feora's Wind, however you say it, and she can lead into a kill with that. So I think that Zelda is high tier, but I think she's on the lower end of that range. I actually think that DDD is one of the most improved characters since Smash 4. Brawl DDD was really, really good. Smash 4 DDD was probably bottom 5. And now this DDD, I'm actually going to put him in high tier because I actually think that this character is really good and people just need to kind of like learn how to use him properly and understand his weaknesses in order to properly do well with him. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually put him in high tier because that's what I believe the character to be at the moment. And speaking of high tiers, I am gonna go ahead and place Rosa, but I'm gonna have to place her probably under Ryu and Ken and place her in the middle of mid tier, but better than Samus, Link, Ganon, and all these guys here. So that's my placement for Rosa. She's just kind of like a shadow of her former self, but she's still solid. I don't think she's solo viable, but I think that you can take sets and games off of people with the character and that she's still good. So that's my placement for her. I actually think that Wii Fit is a lot better than people are making her out to be. So for that reason, I'm actually going to put her above Toon Link. Sun Salutations, an amazing projectile. Wii Fit has even better combos than she did in Smash 4. Better kill setups and opportunities with deep breathing. She's just like a lot more versatile than she was. Obviously she's not, I don't think she's high tier right now, but just a lot more versatile overall, and I think that she's worth placing in towards the upper end of mid tier. Do I think she's solo viable? Not quite, but I do think that she's quite strong. So another character that I'm gonna have to place during the lower end of high tier is Ice Climbers. I think that Ice Climbers' neutral is really strong, especially when you desync them. Off of a grab, they can get upwards to 60% if you know their desyncs and you know their damage properly. I just think Ice Climbers meta has not been developed very, very highly yet, and I think that once it gets more fleshed out and players keep putting time into the Ice Climbers, they're gonna rise up a little bit more in the tier list. But for right now, I kind of have to put them borderline where mid tier is. Kind of like on the lower end. So this might be an interesting choice, but I'm actually going to go ahead and place Isabelle on the lower end of high tier. I think that her range is lacking, but Fishing Line can be a pretty good tool and kind of force people to jump over. And controversially, I'm actually going to put Villager in mid tier, probably below Diddy actually. So there's a separation. They do have different moves, different properties here and there. They're relatively close, so I do want to also demonstrate that the distinction between this bottom row of high tier and like these 5 characters, it's not a wide gap at all. None of these are a wide gap transition to each other. While I do think the gap is, you know, probably the widest that it can be from like Peach, Fox versus Little Mac and Kirby, I still don't think that it's that big of a disparity. So please take these tiers with a grain of salt. And you know, that's kind of why I'm putting them separate. They do have a lot of similarities, but I think that Isabelle's just slightly better, and kind of based on that positioning, I think that I'm gonna put her there. I'm actually gonna put her under Zelda, actually. So I'm not gonna go ahead and place the Pokemon because I think they're part of Pokemon Trainer, and it's kind of, you know, I don't really want to separate them, but I think that Ivysaur's like top tier, Squirtle's high tier, and Charizard's probably like lower end of mid tier, maybe, yeah, like lower end of mid tier. That's how I feel about them. Piranha Plant, obviously we don't know because we haven't played the character yet. But next, I'm gonna actually place Brawler and Gunner, and I actually have been putting time into these characters, and kind of just feel like Brawler's kind of like a pseudo Mario slash Fox, but some of the special moves could work a little bit better. I kind of don't feel very strongly about them, so I'm going to put Brawler there. And then same thing for Gunner. People can kind of like get over and get around the projectiles, and I'm actually going to put Gunner under Incineroar and kind of like closer to where Sheik is, maybe even under Sheik actually. So that's kind of like where I'm putting those two. K. Rool. I also think K. Rool's mid tier. I think that once people learn how to deal with him, he becomes a lot less potent. However, I still think that he's really strong. I'm actually going to put him above Bayonetta. Because I just think that his tools are just better than Bayonetta's. And he controls neutral with Crown. And obviously as a kill throw, down throw into up tilt or F tilt or whatever, down tilt doesn't let people escape as quickly, and he's like a player with good neutral is actually going to dominate with K. Rool, and I think that that has some merit. So I'm actually going to put him at the top of mid tier, but he's not broken, guys, and he's not bad either, so that's why I'm putting him at kind of like borderline high tier. Now you're probably wondering where your boy Falco is going to go. I am going to have to put him kind of like here, better than Villager, but probably not better than Diddy Kong. And I think that his Reflector is really good, and he can invalidate matchups like Villager, Isabelle. He can do work against like Wii Fit Trainer and like Wolf, characters with really good projectiles. Young Link, Toon Link. He can actually be a really, really solid counter pick against projectile characters because of that Reflector, and his combo game is really, really solid. I just don't think he has like reliable kill confirms, and his recovery is, I think it's better than Wolf's, but it's like a worse Fox's recovery, so it's just kind of different. And I don't know, for that I'm gonna put him at the upper end of mid tier, but I do think he's the worst space animal, and I want to be proven wrong because I like Falco, but I just cannot see it, man. I really can't see it. So for that reason, I'm putting him there. Zero Suit. This character, I think, is still quite strong, and I'm actually going to put her higher up and higher up. I think that she's high tier, and that we see Choco winning a lot of events in Japan. We saw Mars and Nairo both playing Zero Suit at Let's Make Moves, and they're definitely doing a lot of work with her, even though she's kind of nerfed and she lost a lot of her comeback potential. She's still a really good character, and up B out of shield's an insane kill option. She still has some up air, up B shenanigans that are harder to pull off but can work. Nair combos into down B flip kick for an instant kill at 30%, and tools like that are just like, they're always going to be really strong. So I'm actually going to put her a little bit higher. As I'm kind of talking about her, I kind of do realize that, yeah, she's a lot better than people think and people make her out to be. So I'm putting her up here. Ridley. So I think that Ridley's also pretty good. I think that the character's spacing is pretty insane. Nair is a huge disjoint. He's heavy, so he doesn't die very easily. However, he's combo food and his recovery is very exploitable. So I'm actually going to put him above Isabelle, but like down here. And I think that his recovery just being so like, I mean, up B is really good. It'll kill you if you don't respect it, but it's easy for him to get into bad positions and not have ways to get out of it. And I don't know, I think that he has really good spacing tools and he kills very early if you're not on point, but for the most part he kind of like will suffer due to his disadvantaged state. So that's why I'm putting him down there. Now, Jigglypuff. I think that Jigglypuff is solid. She still kind of suffers from the issues that she did in Smash 4, but she has rest kill confirms, and I think for that reason I'm putting her in higher up on mid tier, like right under Diddy Kong, and taking it from there because she can still kill you at like 40, 50, even 60% off of a multitude of moves touching you, but she does struggle in that it's hard for her to approach and kind of get around zones and walls and stuff like that. So I'm putting her here, and that's my reasoning. Gonna have to go ahead and put Dr. Mario up here. Pill is a kill confirm, down air is a kill confirm, grab. So he has a lot of ways to confirm into KOs, and in the right hands, Doc can be really scary. His recovery is still kind of exploitable, and his slow movement speed probably causes him to struggle, but I do think that he has a lot of hidden potential, and I think that he's probably going to go up with time, actually. I think he's going to go up probably to the first row of high tier, but right now his meta needs to be developed a little bit more, and people need to put more time into the character for us to see that. I am going to go ahead and place Bowser, and I would actually place Bowser above Ridley. Probably not above the Belmonts or above Pac-Man, but I would probably put him there. And I'm probably going to put Pac-Man above the Belmonts too, actually. So I think that Bowser has a lot of armor, which kind of lets him armor through things and get advantage in the early game. He has great ways to deal damage. His command grab is a kill. It racks up a lot of damage. You know, just he has a usual big body troubles in that he kind of gets pinned around in disadvantage, and he has a hard time coming down. But he's heavy, so it doesn't really matter as much. He's good at ledge trapping with grounded up B, but he lost his like guaranteed damage off of like up throw up air or up throw nair, so for that reason I'm kind of putting him a little bit lower, but I still think he's a force to be reckoned with, and you should probably pair him with another character, but yeah, I still think he's solid all around. So the last two characters, Lucas and Lucario. I think that Lucas is better than he's probably been in Smash 4 and in Brawl, arguably. Brawl, he had a lot of zany stuff, but it was avoidable if you knew what moves to you know, not get hit by. But in this game, Lucas has a solid neutral, and PK Freeze is absolutely ridiculous. He has one of the best recoveries in the game if you space it right. Side Magnet now has a hitbox, which is really good. And I think that people need to, you know, as his meta also develops, he's probably going to go up a little bit, but I'm going to put him under Meta Knight for right now. And finally, Lucario is always a force to be reckoned with, especially once he gets Rage and Aura. Now he can actually, like, Aura Sphere charge into back air, and he can do it off stage too, which is pretty ridiculous. His up B seems to be more safe than it was in Smash 4, which is kind of ridiculous. And yeah, even though like up being onto the stage can be dangerous because it can be intercepted, so I'm actually going to go ahead and put Lucario because Aura is just such a crazy comeback property and mechanic. I'm actually going to put him in high tier, but above Pit and Dark Pit. So that's kind of like where I think Lucario should be. So I think that just about wraps it up, you guys. Oh man, I didn't realize that some of it was off center. So you guys should still be able to see, there's no row below this, but Samus, Link, Mii Brawler, Ganondorf, Incineroar, Sheik, Mii Gunner, Game & Watch, Kirby, Bowser Jr., and Little Mac. So this is the tier list, guys. Once again, it's just my personal opinion. I'm probably, you know, not right about it. You guys can argue with me in the comments. I don't care. I'm going to post this picture on Twitter so that you guys just have it and kind of like, if you just want it for reference or to save it onto your phones, I'm going to post it onto my Twitter just so that it's there and available, because this is not a good scaled image right now on the screen. But this is it. Feel free to agree or disagree and give reasoning. Don't just yell at me and say I don't know what I'm talking about, but give reasoning as to why you might think some of these characters should be higher or lower, and you know, back up your claims of evidence. I think it's important to incite discussion and for us to talk about stuff like this. So that being said, guys, if you enjoyed it, I know this is a super long video and I didn't mean for it to be this long, but I think it kind of had to be for me to explain and back myself up. And you know, sorry for that, but if you did stay through till the end, please give it a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. And that being said, you know, yeah, subscribe and stuff like that, and I appreciate you guys as always. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all next time. Later.